I guess it was only inevitable for Forspoken to get delayed. I can't say I'm not a little disappointed, but with all the upheaval happening in the gaming industry, it doesn't surprise me. I certainly hope that the finished product benefits from this delay, but sometimes, even after a game is delayed, the launch is still pretty rough. So given the age of gaming we're in right now, I'm just going to take this delay as a red flag. I mean, I want Luminous Productions to have a successful game, and I want to have a good, enjoyable experience on launch day. I just don't know if I feel so good about where we're at right now. Maybe it's just me, but I can't help getting a little worried that Forspoken might be in some trouble. I really wish I could just sit back and expect the open world to deliver a fulfilling experience. But then again, there are many things I wish for these days. Sadly, as of late, many people in the gaming crowd like myself have had their wishes and hopes crushed by a game they were anticipating. Don't misunderstand me, I'm not saying I'm expecting the game to flop or that it will be a broken mess at launch. I'm not saying that at all. I'm merely throwing my thoughts out into the wild as I consider what the state of the game is like now and where it will be this October. Forspoken has been that one title which, for various reasons, has held my interest, since it was first revealed as Project Athia a few years ago. I know the potential this game has to be a big success. Luminous is a talented group, something you've probably heard me say if you've seen some of my other videos. As you may or may not know, Forspoken was featured as the cover story for the latest issue of Game Informer. Within the issue, different aspects of the game are touched on, which can give us a little insight into what we can expect later this year. Also, if you're looking for more insight, you can also check out some exclusive gameplay footage that debuted on Game Informer's channel, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. Either way, it seems that one of the major concerns of the Luminous team after finishing work on Final Fantasy XV was the story strength. To address this issue, they sought out Western writing talent to help them focus the story in a cohesive narrative direction. This explains why they recruited Gary Whitta and Amy Hennig to craft the world and story treatment for Forspoken, although the final scripts and dialogue were written by Todd Stashwick and Alison Reimer. Even though I'm a little uneasy about Western writers working on a JRPG, I don't really care who's writing the story as long as it's good. If the narrative turns out well and works, then so much the better. But what about the gameplay? What about the open world design? Does Forspoken have what it takes to immerse us in a world we want to visit again and again? According to comments in the Game Informer story, Luminous showed off a demo build of Forspoken and revealed one of the game's biomes, Avale. This regional biome is filled with lush forest environments, which is the opposite of what we've seen a lot of with the dry, barren landscapes of the Prenost region. Having a confirmation that each region in Athia is a unique biome or locale that stands apart from the rest is nice to hear. I was afraid the map would largely be just one giant biome with only slight deviations here and there. We've also got some details about some of our antagonistic friends, the Tantas. In the issue, they are described as having been benevolent and kind in nature at one point, but after the break started to spread, something happened to them. They've now become corrupted and more tyrannical. I hope the use of their stories and lore help boost the world of Athia to better narrative heights. But that's just one more thing we'll have to wait and see how it turns out. It seems Luminous wanted to have a magic system that really allows the player to mix and match with a combination of spells, thereby giving players the ability to discover their favorites and what works best for them. Hopefully, there is a large variety of spells and upgrades. It would be really cool if you could have different saved sets of magic combinations to switch between at the touch of a button. Unfortunately, that question isn't really answered in this issue, so that's another thing we'll be waiting to see. What the article does tell us is that there are spells for stealth, ranged attacks, and up-close melee attacks. Again, this is good stuff, because as a player, I want to have agency with my games as much as possible. I enjoy being able to determine how I play a game. So to hear the developers try to implement combat systems with this in mind is a vote of confidence in that area at least. That doesn't mean my fear is going to be assuaged about the open world and the number of activities. On that subject, what else have we learned about Forspoken's open world? Well, we know side quests are included, of course. In this instance, they serve as a way for players to understand more about Athia and what happened to it. Apparently, they also allow us, the players, to learn a little bit more about the human characters who are still alive in the main hub of Sipel. The only other thing that Luminous really teases was the inclusion of dungeon areas. Apparently there are quite a few of them out there in Athia, so here's hoping that they are really enjoyable. But call me superstitious, I seem to be getting a weird vibe from Forspoken. Even as some of my fears have been lessened, the design of Forspoken's open world, at least on paper, is eerily similar to that of Final Fantasy XV. Most NPCs are interacted with in a central hub, and there's an open world filled with monsters and creatures of all kinds. Not to mention a lot of dungeons off the beaten path. The only signs of life are what we see in the ruins of what was left behind. I'm really hoping that this similarity is only on paper and that the execution of it is much more solid. If in the end the open world gameplay loop feels rewarding, then I suppose this fear won't really amount to anything. But let's not ignore the fact that one of the biggest struggles of Final Fantasy XV's design is a hurdle Luminous has to overcome with Forspoken. In a way, Forspoken is the spiritual successor to Final Fantasy XV, and it's an opportunity for the team to prove they can get it right. Miyamoto said it best, a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. I want Forspoken to be good. You know this because I've said it in like 3 other videos, but I'll say it again here. I'm rooting for Luminous Productions. I want this experiment to go well for them, but will this delay actually give them enough time to polish the game effectively? Will Forspoken offer us enough engaging content to satisfy our expectations for the game, whatever they may be? These questions will have to wait to be answered until October, when we can get our hands on the world of Athia once and for all. With that, I want to thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any new videos as soon as they drop. Thanks again, I really appreciate it, and have yourself a great day.